All right, Steelers Nation, welcome back to SteelersFix Daily. We're coming out of the bye week fired up because Mike Tomlin just gave one of the most positive press conferences of the year, and for once it feels like the football gods might actually be smiling on Pittsburgh. The Steelers are healthy, confident, and sitting all alone at the top of the AFC North. You can feel the energy building. You can feel that Tomlin edge again. That look he gets when he knows his group is about to start climbing. This was a big one, because Tomlin didn't just give updates. He laid down a tone. This team's about to go into the heart of the season, and they're getting key pieces back. He said Alex Highsmith, Joey Porter Jr., and Jaylen Warren all practiced during Monday's bonus day. His words were, "The arrow is pointing up," and that's the kind of news that makes every Steelers fan exhale. We've been waiting for that defensive front to be whole again. Watt and Highsmith screaming off the edges, Holcomb and Queen locking down the middle, Porter pressing outside. When those guys are healthy together, this defense turns from good to dangerous. Tomlin's calm about it as always, but you could tell he's thrilled. Highsmith's ankle is coming along, Porter's hamstring responded well, and Warren, the heart of this backfield, looks ready to roll. That's enormous because Warren brings the juice. He's that spark, that tone setter in the run game, that guy who punishes defenders at the second level. Kenneth Gainwell did a heck of a job filling in, running for 99 yards against Minnesota, but Warren's return gives the offense its identity back. Then came the updates on Jalen Ramsey and Calvin Austin III. Ramsey's hamstring and Austin's shoulder both limited them last week, but Tomlin said they've been highly aggressive in their rehabs. That phrase, highly aggressive, is classic Tomlin speak for they're close. He didn't rule out either one for Sunday's matchup with the Browns, which tells you they've got a real shot to play. If Ramsey's active, the secondary goes from patchwork to prime. Porter Jr. on one side, Ramsey on the other, and you've got Thornhill and Elliott patrolling behind them. That's a veteran group built to handle the AFC North gauntlet. And if Austin's healthy, Rodgers finally gets that vertical speed threat that opens everything else up. But even if he's not ready, Tomlin made it clear Roman Wilson and Scotty Miller are next in line, and he shut down any talk that Wilson's lack of snaps meant something negative. That's just how we've deployed personnel, he said. Translation, this offense has been leaning on size and muscle, not finesse. The numbers prove it. Pittsburgh ranks third in the NFL in 12 and 13 personnel usage, meaning 2 or 3 tight ends on the field. They're smashing people again. They're dead last in 11 personnel. Only a third of their plays come with 3 wide receivers. This team has gone full steel and grit, and Tomlin loves it that way. Look back at Dublin. That game was pure physical identity. Darnell Washington played 91% of offensive snaps, basically an extra lineman. Pat Freiermuth barely saw the field. That wasn't about performance. It was about matchups. You can't block 4-3 teams with 250-pound tight ends, Tomlin said. He's not wrong. Against big fronts like Minnesota's, you need someone built like Washington. That's why they drafted him. That's why they bring Spencer Anderson in as an extra blocker. This is old-school AFC football. Washington's value goes beyond blocking, though. You can feel it coming. That first touchdown is near. Rodgers trusts him. They're running those play-action leaks and seams, just waiting for defenses to bite. Against Cleveland's aggressive line, that might finally happen. I can already picture it. Play action, Garrett crashes down, Rodgers rolls right, Washington slips behind the linebackers, and the stadium goes wild. But let's not get ahead of ourselves, because before that happens, the Steelers have to deal with Cleveland's defense. And it's no joke. Tomlin called them one of the best in football, and when he says that, he means it. The Browns are ranked number 1 against the run, giving up only 75 yards a game and 3 yards per carry. Their front 4 is nasty. Myles Garrett, Maliek Collins, Mason Graham, Isaiah McGuire, all big, all explosive. They play with that 5-man look when Schwartz wants to smother the run. Tomlin said, "We'd better block them. We'd better run hard. We'd better finish off runs." That's his way of saying this. Will be trench warfare. You don't out-scheme this defense, you outlast it. The Steelers' best bet is to do what they did in Dublin. Lean on heavy personnel, pound the rock, wear them down. Gainwell's vision, Warren's power, and those double-tight looks with Washington and Freiermuth could be the difference. The Browns want chaos. They want 2nd and long, 3rd and 9, where Garrett can tee off. So the goal is simple. Stay on schedule, get 3 or 4 yards on first down, stay ahead of the sticks, and make Rodgers' job manageable. He's too smart for predictable blitzes, but he needs that balance. And here's where Rodgers' experience shines. This isn't a kid who's going to panic under pressure. He's faced every pass rusher imaginable. Schwartz can move Garrett around all he wants. Rodgers will counter with quick snaps, silent counts, and timing routes. Expect plenty of slants to Metcalf, quick outs to Freiermuth, and screens to Warren. Rodgers neutralizes elite pass rushers by forcing them to chase ghosts. The Steelers don't need Rodgers to throw for 350 yards. They need him to manage, lead, and make 2 or 3 big plays when it matters most. That's the Tomlin formula. Control tempo, protect the football, and win the physical war. And as we head into the AFC North grind, that identity is exactly what the city loves. When we come back in the next segment, we'll talk about what Tomlin said about Browns rookie Quinshon Judkins, Dillon Gabriel, the state of the AFC North, and why Pittsburgh's defense might quietly be turning into the league's most complete unit. Stick around. This next part's going to fire you up. Here we go. All right, Steelers Nation, let's keep it rolling. Mike Tomlin's press conference wasn't just about health updates. It was a reminder that he's still one of the sharpest minds in football. Because when he started talking about Cleveland's offense, you could hear that respect in his voice, especially when he brought up rookie running back Quinshon Judkins. He said, "I can't say enough about what I'm seeing from Judkins," and you could tell he meant it. This kid's been everything the Browns hoped he'd be, a physical, violent runner who never goes down on first contact. He just gashed the Vikings for 110 yards, and Tomlin made sure everyone understood what that means. He's got patience, good vision, finishes runs with violence, he said. He's underrated when he bounces it outside. That's classic Tomlin. He studies everything. You could tell he's already spent hours watching tape, thinking about how to take this guy away. Judkins runs behind one of the best interior lines in football, Wyatt Teller, Ethan Posich, and Joel Bitonio, and Tomlin gave them props too. He said that trio sets the pace for Cleveland's whole offense, and he's right. Those guys have been the foundation of that line for years. That's why this week's matchup is going to be so physical. It's not just about Myles Garrett on defense, it's about the tone Cleveland sets up front. Tomlin called it a trench game, and he's dead on. That's where this thing will be decided. But here's the difference between this year's Steelers and some of the teams we've seen in the past few seasons. Pittsburgh finally looks ready for that kind of fight. This defense has grown every single week. You saw it in Dublin when they held the Vikings to just 70 yards rushing. That was their best performance of the year, and Tomlin said it wasn't an accident. He said, "Just the collective growth," and then he pointed out one guy, safety Deshaun Elliott. His presence was significant, Tomlin said. He's a down safety, a guy that plays around the line of scrimmage. That's the kind of football you need in the AFC North. Guys who aren't afraid to hit, who make the offense think twice about running into that box. Elliott's return has stabilized everything in the secondary, and now you've got Watt, Queen, Holcomb, and Highsmith working as one unit again. You can feel it. This defense is about to hit another gear. And speaking of Highsmith, his return changes everything for Terrell Austin's play calling. Nick Herbig's been a great story filling in, but Highsmith opposite Watt gives Pittsburgh its true identity. It's that symmetry, one side speed, one side power, both with relentless pursuit. When those two get going together, quarterbacks start to panic. Which brings us to the Browns' rookie quarterback, Dillon Gabriel. Tomlin actually gave him a little love too. He said, "Timely processing is his superpower." That's high praise coming from Tomlin. It means Gabriel reads fast, doesn't overthink, and keeps plays alive. But there's a big difference between doing that against Minnesota in London and trying it in Acrisure Stadium with TJ Watt breathing down your neck. You can bet the Steelers are going to test that processing speed the moment the ball's snapped. Pittsburgh's plan here is simple. Stop the run early, force Gabriel into 2nd and 3rd and long, and then unleash chaos. Make him hold the ball, make him hesitate, and the rest will take care of itself. That's what they did to Carson Wentz a couple of weeks ago, and it worked perfectly. The Steelers forced mistakes by compressing the pocket and controlling first down. Tomlin said the same thing this week about what they'll need to do to beat the Browns. We'd better block them. We'd better run hard. We'd better finish. That's not just for the offense. It's a message to the whole team. You want to beat Cleveland? You match their toughness, then you outlast them. And if you listen closely to the way Tomlin talks about his group now, you can hear something different. It's that quiet confidence that only comes when a team's starting to figure itself out. The defensive front's finally communicating. The linebackers are tackling clean. The safeties are filling lanes with discipline. And maybe most importantly, the offense is giving the defense time to rest. That was a major issue early in the year, but now they're playing complementary football. It's easy to forget how far this group's come in just 4 games. Remember week 1 against Seattle? Missed tackles, busted coverages, communication issues. But ever since then, every week it's tightened up. And when you look at this Cleveland matchup, it feels like everything's lining up at the right time. A rested roster, an improving run game, and a defense starting to smell blood. And as if things couldn't get better, every other team in the AFC North helped Pittsburgh out over the weekend. While the Steelers were enjoying their bye, the rest of the division went 0-3. That's right. Every rival took an L. The Browns lost to the Vikings in London, and it looked a lot like the same old Cleveland story. They had control, they couldn't close. Dillon Gabriel threw 2 touchdowns early, but down the stretch, 1 first down in 5 drives. The offense completely disappeared. Kevin Stefanski said afterward, "We just have to be better and score some points." Yeah, good luck with that against Pittsburgh's defense this week. Then Baltimore got absolutely destroyed by the Houston Texans. No Lamar Jackson, half their defense missing, and it showed. C.J. Stroud lit them up. Final score, 41-13. John Harbaugh called it a complete disappointment. That's not just a bad loss, that's a morale killer. They go into their bye week at 1-4, searching for identity. And then, as if that wasn't enough, Cincinnati's collapse kept going. Jake Browning's trying to hold it together, but without Joe Burrow, that team's lost. They dropped another one to the Lions, 37-24, and Zach Taylor said afterward, "You can't score 3 points in the first half 3 weeks in a row and expect to win." That's as honest as it gets. That's a coach who knows his team's in trouble. So while the rest of the division's falling apart, Pittsburgh's just sitting back, healing up, and preparing for a home divisional game. Tomlin was asked about all those losses, and in typical Tomlin fashion, he brushed it off with, "I'm not a big picture guy." Of course he's not, but don't think for a second he doesn't know exactly what that means. He knows his team's got a chance to create separation now. This game against the Browns isn't just another regular season matchup. It's a tone setter for the entire second half of the year. Win this one, and the Steelers move to 4-1 with a perfect record inside the conference and a statement victory over a physical rival. That's how you grab control of the division early. And think about it. They've already won in 3 different ways this year. They've won ugly, they've won physical, and they've won with resilience. That's how great teams build identity. This is classic Steelers football. You don't need flash, you just need toughness and consistency. Everything about this team right now feels like it's trending upward. The line's improving. The tight ends are blocking like maniacs. The run game's finding its rhythm. And Rodgers, he's getting more comfortable each week in Arthur Smith's system. You can see him getting the ball out quicker, trusting the protection more. He's not chasing the big play, he's orchestrating drives. That's what veteran quarterbacks do when they trust their defense. So here we are, heading into week 6, and for the first time in a while, it feels like Pittsburgh's got momentum and health at the same time. That combination's dangerous. You give Tomlin 2 weeks to prepare, a roster this healthy, and a home crowd hungry for AFC North blood. That's a recipe for something special. Coming up in our final segment, we'll break down matchups, give predictions, and talk about why Darnell Washington, Roman Wilson, and Jaylen Warren could all have their biggest games of the season. Don't go anywhere. Here we go. All right, Steelers Nation, we're rolling into the final stretch of today's show, and this is where it all comes together. Everything Mike Tomlin talked about this week leads straight into Sunday. A chance to make a statement, to put the rest of the AFC North on notice, and to prove that the standard is, once again, the standard. Let's start with the quarterback matchup, because that's where everything flows. Aaron Rodgers versus rookie Dillon Gabriel. Experience versus energy. Rodgers has seen everything: zone blitzes, fire looks, odd fronts, simulated pressures. And that's going to matter. Cleveland's defensive coordinator Jim Schwartz loves chaos. He'll line up Myles Garrett in every possible gap, move safeties around, and try to bait you into mistakes. But Rodgers doesn't bite. He's one of the best pre-snap manipulators of all time. You give him a look once, and he'll know exactly how to beat it the next play. That's where this game might be decided, in Rodgers' mind. Expect Pittsburgh to use tempo to keep the Browns off balance. Quick snaps, no huddle at times, forcing Garrett to stay on the field and wear down. You'll see those short slants, timing throws, and motion concepts that create leverage without needing deep drops. Rodgers knows the key is getting the ball out before Garrett can even plant his foot, and if the Steelers get that rhythm early, the crowd will sense it. The longer Rodgers stands upright, the more this game tilts black and gold. But this game won't just be won through the air. It'll be won on the ground. Darnell Washington and Spencer Anderson will once again be crucial in those heavy sets, sealing edges and setting the tone. Pittsburgh's not going finesse. They're going physical. Washington's the anchor, and this might be the week he becomes a household name. When you've got a tight end built like a left tackle moving defensive ends backward, that's the kind of football Tomlin lives for. I think we'll see Washington's first touchdown as a Steeler this week, a red zone leak off play action that brings Acrisure to life. Jaylen Warren's workload will be another big storyline. Coming off the knee issue, Tomlin said he looked great in practice, and you know what that means. He's going to get fed. Kenneth Gainwell has earned touches too, and together they form that thunder and lightning combo Pittsburgh's been missing for years. If the Steelers can get 120 yards on the ground combined, this one's over. That's the magic number. Control time of possession, protect Rodgers, and let the defense hunt. Speaking of defense, buckle up, because if Joey Porter Jr. and Alex Highsmith are back, this unit could go from good to suffocating. Porter's length and aggression allow the corners to play tighter coverage, freeing Ramsey or Brandon Echols to roam inside at nickel. And when Highsmith returns, that gives Watt the freedom to freelance again. When both those edges are healthy, Pittsburgh's pressure packages become unpredictable. You can run simulated blitzes, you can drop Watt into coverage, you can overload one side and crash the other. That's when this defense is at its most dangerous, when you can't tell who's coming and who's bluffing. I expect TJ Watt to have a massive day. The Browns' right tackle, Isaiah McGuire, is athletic but still raw. If Watt wins early, he'll force Gabriel into hurried throws, and that's where guys like Patrick Queen and Peyton Will can create turnovers. Don't be surprised if Watt adds another strip sack to his season total. He loves this matchup, loves the bright lights, and you can just feel he's due for one of those classic Watt takeover games. And let's not forget the quiet star of this defense, Deshaun Elliott. His return changed everything against Minnesota. You can see how confident Minkah Fitzpatrick used to make the back end look. That's what Elliott's doing now for this 2025 group. He's that enforcer in the box who changes angles, communicates pre-snap, and keeps the linebackers free. Every great Steelers defense has had that guy, Polamalu, Clark, Edmonds at times, and now it's Elliott's turn. The one thing you can count on from a Mike Tomlin team after a bye is sharpness. He's 12-4 coming out of bye weeks in his career. His teams play with purpose, energy, and discipline. Expect the Steelers to come out fast, maybe even a scripted drive to get Rodgers into rhythm early. Something like 12 plays, 75 yards, mixing play action and the run, ending with a Darnell Washington touchdown. That's my call. Prediction time. Let's put it on the record. Steelers 23, Browns 13. A grinded-out win that's less about style points and more about control. Rodgers throws for 230 yards and a touchdown. Warren adds 78 on the ground with one score. Darnell Washington finds the end zone for the first time, and the defense racks up 4 sacks, 1 turnover, and holds Quinshon Judkins under 70 yards. That's the formula. It won't be flashy, it'll be Pittsburgh football. After this game, the national talk will start shifting. They'll say, the Steelers might be for real. And they'll be right. Because what Tomlin's building here isn't hype, it's foundation. You can see it. You can feel it. Every week, the chemistry grows. Rodgers' leadership, the defense's swagger, the way the young players like Roman Wilson and Yahya Black are buying into the culture. This is how contenders take shape. It's not perfect. The offense still has to finish drives better, the penalties need tightening, and the deep passing game needs to connect more. But you can tell they're trending in the right direction. The trust is there. The buy-in is real. And when that happens under Mike Tomlin, it usually ends with playoff football. So as we wrap this one up, take a breath, Steelers Nation. The bye week's over, the stretch run starts now, and this next month of football will define who we are. Browns, Bengals, Ravens, that's the road ahead. Every game a fistfight, every yard earned. That's how we like it. That's how Pittsburgh's always done it. Sunday at Acrisure is going to be special. The crowd's going to be loud, the towels will be flying, and the energy will be pure black and gold. This is where the climb begins. No more talking about potential. Now it's about production. No more waiting for players to return. Now they're back. And the message is simple. The North still runs through Pittsburgh. All right, that's going to do it for today's episode of SteelersFix Daily. Thanks for rolling with us as we break down Mike Tomlin's press conference and the road ahead. If you enjoyed the show, make sure to follow us on all platforms and check out the full article on SteelersFix.com. Hit like, hit subscribe, and keep those terrible towels waving. Until next time, this is Steelers Fix signing off. Here we go.